the Opie and Anthony show, when we first went to satellite radio, we were signed by XM, and they really, even though the CEO with the bad breath hated our guts, they built out just a multi-million-dollar studio for us and gave us our own space on 57th Street. We were pretty much the only show, except for except for who was it? Oh, where are you old timers at? I think his name was Jonathan Schwartz. Jonathan Schwartz refused to leave. So they had this space. XM had this space in New York on 57th Street where they put a few shows. But they knew we were such a big deal coming off our run on regular radio and sitting out 2 years that they knew they needed something special. So they built out a multi-million-dollar facility for us that was just for us and Jonathan Schwartz because he refused to leave. So the whole place was ours except for a tiny little studio that was the size of a walk-in closet. You know when you go to a city or whatever and you see like all brand new skyscrapers, and then you see the one person that refused to sell, so they're in some 2-story shitty house in the middle of all these giant skyscrapers. That was Jonathan Schwartz. He refused to leave. Think Big City Greens. We watched that on a regular basis here at the house. He refused to leave. So this whole facility was ours except for this dope that thought he was important and refused to leave. We got a lot done there. It felt very, very special. We had a glass wall that we could just open up, and then we brought bleachers in where people they lined up every day outside the facility to come in to check out the show. And if we weren't feeling them, or if me and Anthony were really fighting, if you want to know the truth, we kind of left them sort of outside the studio, but they could still check out everything. But if we were really, really feeling it, we would open up the glass wall, bring the bleachers really close to where we were broadcasting. It was absolutely amazing. And it, as a broadcaster, made you feel good. It made you, try even harder to do bits and whatnot. And then Sirius merged with XM, and these dopes, these middle management dopes at Sirius, they would come up to where we were on 57th Street. They were down in Times Square, so they were a good 12, 15 blocks away. So these middle management people that had nothing to do during the day, literally, their one thing they had to do was come up and see us, touch base with us, talk to us, have these dumb little meetings that went nowhere. And they were so bothered by having to do that they forced us to move into their facility at Sirius in Times Square. And I'm here to say it was never the same for Opie and Anthony. They basically neutered us, and they put us in a tiny little studio. And next thing you know, we don't have this just freewheeling, free form thing we were doing where people would just show up at the studio, and they would be on the sidewalk like 5 stories below, and we'd invite people up. And now is a whole hassle because we were way up in the sky in a small studio. That's why I despise the business, because it's never the talent. Me and Anthony had it. We got it. We know how to do this, but it was no one made it so hard. Always was middle management was always just getting their greasy fingers involved with what you were doing, and they always made it harder and worse.